Are you ready? Are you ready for this moment?
I have to confess to you that I've been dreaming of making this solar oven for at least 10 years. In 2013, we filmed a video with Brog making a solar oven with a parabolic antenna. It's a fascinating experiment that achieves an extremely high temperature, but it's not practical due to the immense effort required. Right after, we made a second solar oven with a pizza box, which was super easy to make, but at most you would cook a grilled cheese sandwich inside. But now we found a way that is simple. You can do it at home, and at the same time it's efficient. You can actually cook something, you can use it as a stove depending on the food. And it's practically a cardboard box inside another. I'll build it and I'll tell you about it. For the first box, I will create all the edges and borders with a diameter of 45 centimeters. The second box will be 65 on one side, 65 on the other, and 55 high. It's for one box to fit into the other and have 10 centimeters left over between them. I'm not using a ready-made box because it would be almost impossible for me to get the size I wanted. So I'm here suffering with this hot glue, which, by the way, has a problem. This here is an oven. The hot glue will melt as it heats up, only helping to assemble the box. Now comes the heavy work. I'm gonna cut out some strips of craft paper, apply white glue, and this is what will completely seal and give structure to the boxes. I'll also create triangles to provide the correct spacing between them. Isn't that just the cutest thing? The next step will be to line the entire inside of the smaller box with aluminum foil. I'm going to apply double-sided tape and then stick the aluminum foil on top of it. The aluminum may not be the most attractive, but it will reflect and trap the heat inside, which is the crucial aspect. After all, one of the ways to transmit heat is through electromagnetic waves, like infrared light, for example. So this here reflects the light. One of the most important parts of this oven is the thermal insulation. We can't let the heat escape from here. So first I'm going to put some spacers to distance the inner box from the outer box. I put the smaller box in around. In this gap that was left, I'm going to stuff it with newspaper up to the brim. The idea of the newspaper here is to not let the air move, because air is a good thermal insulator. The problem is that when it moves, it starts to conduct heat because the hot air rises, the cold air descends, and it causes a current and internal wind there. If air is trapped in multiple places, like in foam, it stops heat transfer, making foam a good thermal insulator. I nearly forgot the thermometer, but it's useful for comparing with the outdoor temperature. When it seems like the work is at the end, it's not. Here goes a well-done closure that is to prevent the air from escaping, not to circulate, and at the same time make the box more resistant. This edge is tricky. You must simultaneously apply white and hot glue. You can't cover it with glued paper, but the outside can be covered. The cool thing is that the craft has practically the same color as the cardboard, giving it a decent finish. The bottom part is ready. Oh, the worst part is that this box needs a lid, and it's not a simple lid. First, I'm going to make just the little frame, a modest lid. This one will just go with hot glue, because next I need to make a sort of a second floor. So, I'm going to glue several little blocks of cardboard, and on top will go some strips. I reinforce everything using craft tapes with glue. This lid requires this space, and you'll soon understand why. I need to make a grid on top of the box. So first, I'm going to straighten the wires in that way you already know, which is by clamping them in the vise and spinning them in the drill. I cut it, bend the tips to secure it to the box, and cover with craft paper. Everything was practically ready, but then we received some 3D printers, and they came packed in this foam here, which is a very good thermal insulator. In other words, we're gonna open it and remove that newspaper, right? If you're gonna do this at home, this foam is very cool, but you can also use a piece of styrofoam, bubble wrap, or even shredded paper, crumpled paper, like we had done at the beginning. The outside of the box, I'm gonna paint entirely black. The idea is that it absorbs the light and turns it into heat. Then the box will also heat up from the outside in. The oven is ready, let's understand exactly how it works. For that, I made a cut in the middle. You will see that this is kind of a mix between an oven and a thermos. The light comes from the sun, it can pass through the transparent plastic, and two things will happen inside here. If it hits the dark mold, where the food will be, the light will turn into heat, it will heat the mold, and the mold will heat the air. If the light hits the aluminum foil, it will reflect until at some point it also hits the mold and will heat the mold. The box is painted black because the light from outside that misses the plastic hits the box's side, causing it to heat up. It's important to note that hot air accumulates inside and rises to the top. So the ideal is that this dish with the food or this pot with the food stays as close as possible to the lid of the box. With hot air inside, here begins the part of the thermos. We can't let this hot air go away in any way. It's the most crucial thing we have. We'll have 3 insulation types here. An air mattress made of 2 transparent plastic layers. Then, the aluminum foil that reflects infrared radiation. That is, it reflects the heat from the pot itself. That's why if you open a thermos, you'll see that it's aluminized, it's mirrored on the inside. And we still have that huge layer of insulation that I put on the outside, which is to ensure in every way that this air stays warm inside. This oven will heat up tremendously, but it's improbable to surpass 100 degrees. This means that it is not capable of forming that burnt crust that a gas oven can do. It's going to be more like a slow microwave oven. So we could make rice here, make potatoes, make a series of cooked vegetables. Everything that is cooked could be done. Remember, cooking will likely take all day, but that's great because the food will be cooked to perfection. The heat, it manages to spread well through the food. Mari is saying here that, the solar oven might not work very well, so you have to add a little bit of cornstarch to ensure that this pudding dough will harden.
No, not a pinch. Go, I think a teaspoon. No, a pinch is this here, look.
Okay, Mom.
To make sure the thing will harden.
To give it consistency.
To give it consistency, exactly.
I'll follow your advice for safety. Time to cook. I made a base underneath, a triangular cardboard base, so that the mold can be as high as possible inside the oven. It's kind of strange to do this, but if we use a large pot, for example, I make a smaller support, then the pot will always be at the highest part, at the hottest part. One important thing, you may notice that both the pudding mold and the mold I'm going to put on top are black. That's because they're going to absorb the light. They're going to turn the light into heat. The aluminum foil reflects heat, keeping it inside the box without heating up itself. So this form goes on top of the other. Oops, I forgot to put the pudding. If you pour it very slowly, it doesn't form bubbles. Place this form on top. One more technique closes this box. Very cool, which is to put a plastic, then goes the lid, and now you will understand why I made this lid so complicated like this, full of these wires and everything else, because on top of this plastic goes another plastic and forms a space between the two. This space serves as an air cushion, it also serves as a thermal insulator. So besides the box being all isolated, we also have a layer of trapped air that prevents heat from escaping. To finish, let's tie this plastic to seal everything and prevent air circulation. To keep the oven closed, let's take it to the sun, starting at 29.8 degrees without disturbing the pudding. In a little while, I think in about 10 minutes, this will already be over 40 degrees. 10 minutes have passed, just look. Ha 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 ha. And it's rising. It's noon, and you won't believe the temperature this thing is at. 90.8, it's about to boil. No, people saw that. Something leaked here. Now it's 2 in the afternoon. Something should be ready by now? Wow, it's really hot. The shape has warped. No. He's cooking because the top part is firm, see? Half of the pudding is at the bottom of the box. Let's leave the thing here. It was 79 degrees when I opened it. Now it's already 61. It will have to recover what it lost here, but I think a little bit of sun it comes back. It's 5:30 in the afternoon now, huh? 37.2. Outside, it's 27.8 degrees Celsius. Despite the clouds, it's much hotter inside later in the day. Ha ha ha. It's a kind of crooked pudding. Put it in the fridge. Mary.
What is it?
I'm going to give you the honor of unmolding this pudding.
Extremely symmetrical, I can see.
The hard part is, if I let go here, drop caramel, it's gonna mess up my table, but just the smell.
It's firm.
It is.
The oven worked.
The oven worked, but when did you finish cooking this?
On Tuesday, today is Thursday.
Maybe it won't come out of the mold properly?
Because it was stored for a long time. The important thing is that we test it, right? It's not about it coming out of the mold properly, because we've already seen that it completely fell apart and turned into a mess, right?
It went down. Are you ready? Are you ready for this moment? It worked!
It's a half moon of pudding.
Pudding croissant. Wow, what a piece.
I'm cutting it here in the middle. Oh, it's very well cooked.
A pudding without holes?
It's hard, without holes or a soft center.
Let's see what grade Ibre deserves. It's the oven, right?
Did it turn out good?
It actually did.
Pudding.
Perfect. The oven worked out great. You saw it went over 90 degrees. When it got hotter, it cooked the pudding perfectly. No difference from something baked in a regular oven, but here in Sao Paulo, I don't think it's a good place to do this. We tested this on the hottest days of the year. It was an absurd temperature, reached up to 37 degrees outside in this environment here. Now for those who live a little further north. So if you live in Minas Gerais, Mato Grosso, Goiás, and above, then this oven is sensational because these are hotter places where it rains less and there are fewer cloudy days anyway. This oven can be much better utilized if you have a place where it is sunnier, where it is hotter than here in Sao Paulo. I know you're going to curse me now because the video is vertical, but we recorded it for the shorts, and I still wanted to give a spoiler. We put several things inside the oven, and the result was surprising. The potato was delicious. To find out what happened to the rest, watch it on the shorts. If you enjoyed making this oven, I'm going to give you a tip on another thing you can build in this heat, which is very useful, which is a homemade humidifier. It's much easier to make than the oven, okay?